Hi, welcome to Regular Mechanics. My name's Alan. I'm glad you're here. Today I am going to be talking about the Thoth Tarot, and specifically what are some decks that beginners might want to look at if the original deck created by Lady Frieda Harris doesn't scratch your itch. A lot of us love the Rider-Waite system, but the original deck doesn't do anything for us. We find a clone, we find something similar. So I explored my collection and what were some of the decks that I have that are similar to Thoth that will help you learn the system as you explore it without necessarily having to engage in the original artwork. So if this is something you're interested in, stick around. When tarot readers talk about what system they follow or where they get their meanings for their interpretations, a lot of it comes down to the type of deck they use or learn from. The first is the Tarot de Marseille. This is Unillustrated Pip's classic majors that uses a more numerological background for the meaning of the cards. So this doesn't have a lot of visual prompts on them, so folks are able to be a little bit more intuitive in a sense because they don't have pictures to draw from. And they also have a little bit more of an open-ended and not quite as negative or positive flow of meaning from card to card because every number and its meaning has a variant and a degree. When you go back to older decks, you see that Justice is 8 and Strength is 11 is more traditional or classic in numbering. So Aliester Crowley kept that in. Next, also, but one thing he did is he renamed court cards. The first court card in the Thoth Tarot is a princess, and here's a princess of disc. Next is the prince, not the knight. Kind of make sure you focus. And what you see here is you see each of the princes is on a chariot. Okay. Queens are still the third. I love this queen. Queen of discs. There we go. And then, but there's no king, it is the knight that reigns supreme on the deck. So if you're going to find a Thoth clone, you're going to look for a deck that has traditional numbering. You're also going to have a changed court card set. Okay. Next, so let's talk about the renaming of a couple of the cards. So the first card that he renamed was the Magician as the Magus, which granted is not a huge difference, but difference is different. This is what I want to talk about. 8, he changed from Justice to Adjustment, but when you look at the card, you obviously see that it's clearly this balance scales is a Justice feel. Strength was renamed as Lust, but the woman and the lion there gives you that strength idea. Also, the red coloring also gives you the fire that it still represents. Temperance was renamed Art. Come on, hide my face. What? It wants to see my face. Okay. Judgment was renamed Aeon. And the World was renamed Universe. Okay. And then finally, one thing that kind of marks a Thoth Tarot, not necessarily exclusively because other decks do it, but one thing you will definitely hear about the Thoth is the fact that there are titles on the cards. Here, a lot of people, and this is a pet peeve of mine, there's no doubt about it, these are not keywords. They are titles. This does not come from Aliester Crowley. He did make some adjustments to them so they're not word for word, but it comes from the Liber T, or the book T, from the source documents of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. These titles on these cards are the same titles for the Rider-Waite Smith cards. They're just not on it. And so how Pamela Coleman Smith and how Arthur Edward Waite decided to depict these titles and these cards was a personal artistic choice, just as it is with a Thoth Tarot. But these aren't keywords to the Thoth Tarot. These are titles of cards in the Thoth Tarot. It might seem like I'm splitting hairs, but it is a bit of a big difference, because what a title is an overarching idea with a lot of different ideas. But with a keyword, you can seem to trim in or hedge in the ideas a little bit more than a title does. So, but when you're looking at for a Thoth clone or Thoth variant, you will tend to find cards that will have the titles on them, is one key indicator of that. Okay, I'm going off the assumption that most people who are looking to get into Thoth or looking for a Thoth variant have some experience with Rider-Waite-Smith. And one thing, just like I did, so what I want to do is I'm going to talk about some decks that will kind of introduce elements of Thoth first, so that way you can kind of incorporate them and then not have to go whole hog into a Thoth variant. Because if you're looking for something different, if you want to learn the system and you're good going whole hog, just go with the Thoth deck and you're good. But first, so I'm going to talk about the Haindl Tarot. I've never been able to say this. This is a U.S. Games deck, copyright 1990. Rachel Pollack was really influential in this. I don't know if she actually... Haindl is the guy who did the art. She did the books, and there's several books, and they're great. This deck takes in a lot of different things, not just Thoth and Rider-Waite-Smith. Okay, with this tarot, the numbering is not the same. It is the Rider-Waite numbering. So you have strength as 8. So there's that. So that leaves justice at 11, as you can imagine. But it also renamed alchemy for temperance, which is a little bit of a Thoth idea, though. But when you look into it. But what is really interesting is it did keep Aeon for judgment, which is good. And it is the universe, which I don't have the card. But yeah, here it is. Sorry, I tried to get them all up. Yeah. Cool. So so there you don't have the numbering. I thought it's Rider-Waite-Smith numbering. But it does have some of the renaming of the cards, so you can kind of get some of that different vibe and different energy. The renaming of the court cards is probably one of the most popular that you will find in Thoth variants. Not specifically these names, but in the sense that the first card is Daughter. And here, I picked a kind of a variety of these. So that way you can kind of see that, but you have Daughter, Son. You can kind of see that. Go behind my face. Mother, which is the scariest Mother of Wands card you're ever gonna see. And then Father. So there you have a break from the Page, Knight, King, Queen. And what you do have is you have a balancing of 2 male, 2 female figures, so you have that balance there. But 2, you also still have the hierarchy, and you can kind of play with it. It's different than King. So that is the Haindl Tarot, which is good. Next, I'm not even going to take these out of the box, but I'm just going to mention them. 2, you have the Scarabeo Tarot. If you can see it. There we go. This, by the box, says, the 3 great magical traditions of the West meet in a single deck. They aspired to create a deck under their brand name. This is their flagship deck that combined all of Rider-Waite-Smith, Thoth, and Marseille. They did not succeed as much as I would want them to. The numbering is Rider-Waite-Smith. The court cards are Rider-Waite-Smith. The naming of the cards are Rider-Waite-Smith. And there are no titles on the card. So it is a little bit of a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, period. With a when you look at some of the cards, and I'm not going to go to it, especially some of the scenic when you look at some of the cards, especially the scenic pips, you will see kind of a gloss of Thoth kind of projective geometry on it. And that so my camera overheated, so I have moved to just my iPhone and that's just how I shoot. I don't have time to let it cool down and go all through because I got one day off and I gotta shoot some videos. So hashtag vlog news. I don't recommend the low Scarabeo Tarot as a Thoth variant because it's too Rider-Waite Smith to really kind of get there. But if you want something really, really light on the Thoth, then you can do that too. But if you're a fan of low Scarabeo, which I have said, one of these days I'm just gonna do a whole big spread video of all my low Scarabeo decks that are current in my possession, not even the ones all of it. So, but the Initiatory Tarot of the Golden Dawn is a good backup choice. This does use Prince, Princess, Queen, Knight for court cards, which is good. It is Rider-Waite Smith numbering, but it does have the universe card for the name changes. So this is a good choice if you want something a little bit different. As you can tell by the difference in boxes, though, I have used this one way more than this one. I just don't think it's that successful for me. But what you want may be different completely. So next I want to talk about, we're kind of moving more to US games. The New Era Elements Tarot. This is a gorgeous monochromatic deck that I love. And this will really kind of get me kind of to talk about some stuff that I want to talk about. It does have some of the renaming of the cards. So here you have the Magus. But not all of them. You do have adjustment, which is great. But instead of lust at 11, you have strength. Just how it is. And 14th is still temperance. And 20 is judgment. But it does have the universe card. So you kind of have a mix. When it comes to the court cards, again, we have the daughter, son, mother, father, court hierarchy. But it does have titles. And these are similar to the Golden Dawn titles. But not 100%. But it's a good way to go. This is readily available. It's not super expensive. It is in a great card stock with a wonderful 2-piece box. And so I recommend this one. I like this one, and I do use this a lot. It can be a little bit of triggering in some of the cards because it is a little overly, I don't want to say dark, but the tower is 9/11. And so, which in a way is a great illustration of tower energy, but that's like tower energy all the way over, as opposed to kind of tower energy as we normally see it in a day-to-day basis, because it does happen too. But also I'm gonna talk about this as I work with Thoth. I think tower is more Mars energy than it necessarily is destruction energy, and so for me, the tower is all about taking control and being the lightning bolt and not the tower. And when do you need to come through hard and heavy and change the game? But that's good. That is a great option. And now it is kind of black and white because it's monochromatic. So not for everybody. So that's a little bit of what we're wanting. But I like it, and I do recommend it if you're interested. Okay, the next, if you want a soft one, and who doesn't love tarots and tens? I love them. Love them, love them, love them. So this is the Zillich Tarot, which I'm showing you the 10, but I've actually pulled all the cards that I want to talk about. So I'm going to put it back up. So this has the renamed cards. Lust. Now, I don't get this. This should be judgment or aeon, but not justice. So justice is not 11. It's 20. So that's a break from both systems. But I think the aspect of aeon when it comes to the Thoth Tarot, Crowley Thoth Tarot, that is one of the biggest make or break cards for a lot of folks. how committed they are to going all the way to Aeon is a big deal. Just as I viewed my decks, I thought, oh, that's kind of a make or break level. And here I don't think they wanted to go all the way to Aeon, but they didn't. Just leave it Judgment then. Don't change Justice to Adjustment, and then change Judgment to Justice, because that throws off the whole thing. So anyway, but it has the universe chart, and this is gorgeous, just gorgeous. Now, it is Princess, Prince, Queen, and King. And it does have titles on the cards. And a handy dandy Tarot on the 10 size. So this is great. My only issue, other than the Justice's Judgment / Aeon card, issue I have with it is watercolor. And it gets a little washy, light colored. But it is a great deck. This is, because I'm a dude and I have big pockets, this is pocket size for me. So this is one of the decks I take with me routinely when I go on a walk with my dog. And so I'm just pulling cards. So I recommend this one. If you like watercolors, especially if the coloring and the projective geometry, and there is a harsh masculine energy to the art. If you want something a little bit softer and lighter than this, is a great choice for a backup. Okay, next, I'm narrowing it down. I have 3 left. I want to talk about one of the decks that I love a lot, and that is the Urban Tarot. I saw this deck a little while ago, like years and years ago, in the original indie version, and I almost got the Fool's Dog app for it. I didn't, but whenever I read Querying the Tarot, which is a great book, and I'm going to do a review of it at some point, they used this deck for the art, for the cards, and I fell in love with it again. So that was right when US Games was releasing this out in mass market. And so I got on their pre-order. One thing I love about the cards is they are tall and skinny, which is one of my favorite deal cards. Because the deck in the independent, self-published version is kind of on the small side. It was kind of square, and I wasn't crazy about the presentation of it, but as soon as I saw these, I love it. So this is also a Thoth variant, which is great. So you have the renaming of the cards, so Magus. Justice is not a judgment, but it is numbered. So you have the numbering, you don't have the renaming, I'm sorry. Because Strength is also 11. But I am all for this art card. And I would love this as a giant print just to hang in my house. Because you have the Rider-Waite-Smith Temperance Angel, which is great. But it's art, and it kind of, because you have the alchemy at the bottom, which is happening, which mirrors the deck. So great. This does have the Aeon card, which I do love, and I love this association with the Aeon with the 9/11 memorial and about how a new age has come about since that day. So good. And then of course the universe. So it's great. Now, when you do look at this deck, it is there are the there are the titles on the cards. Hi, Despair and Cruelty. Let's pick a nice one. How about Peace? Peace, yay. Now the core cards, which we're looking at, are Princess, Prince, Queen, and King. So I'm just gonna, no, hi. So we have Princess. Now, I love this deck. I love this deck. I love the book. So in the Little White Book, there are names of people on the core cards, which you don't see a lot, which I love. I love NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. And last year, to my epic fail, I tried to do a fan fiction novel about this deck. And so what I did is I took all of the core cards and I wrote the name on in the corner that was ascribed in the Little White Book, because they all have kind of jobs here too. So it's super fun. And so I love that. So, I mean, so this is Carolyn, but Princess, Prince, Queen, and Knight. So, right now, for the beginner, for the guy and gal who is getting into Thoth and definitely wants something different, a little bit more modern, hands down, the Urban Tarot is my #1 choice for the beginner. Because, as I've said before, in just mere videos ago, my #1 choice for Thoth variants is the Liber Tarot of the Stars Eternal by the Scarabeo. This deck is not for the beginner. I'm just going to say that right off the bat. This deck has a deeper sorry about the shaking. This deck has a deeper esotericism to it than most of the other Thoth variants. They really allow you to kind of get into the system and just kind of learn it like you would learn it as a student. This one, I first fell in love with the redrawn, almost cartoon style or animated version of the majors with kind of this art brush style, which is great. So this is the Thoth majors just redrawn, which is great. Now, I've talked about this a little bit. I am not a fan of old school Lo Scarabeo when they would take a card. I'm just going to pull it. A card. And would mono scale it and make it the back. I love the adjustment card. I love the sense of balance and finding, all the justicey things in the world. But I think when you put it on the back of a card, it can affect the whole deck energetically. So they don't do that anymore, which I'm really, really glad. But they need to update this so they don't do that. Also, I would love it borderless and things like that. So, but you have adjustment. Obviously, they even kept Fortune instead of the Wheel of Fortune. For me, that is so rare that happens that it's not even an issue. I just don't even mention it. But they have Lust, which is good. And then you have Art, which I love this art card too. So good. And then, of course, like I said, it has Aeon. And then the Universe. Cool. So when you get to the minors, there's a lot more going on in these cards, which doesn't just happen. Okay, I'm going to show this one. And this is probably very typical Liberty. And one reason why I don't necessarily always recommend this deck, but this one's kind of safe. This deck is a little bit extra. There's some sex depicted. There's some nudity and things like that, which I'm normally prudish, and this deck pushes all those buttons. But here is the Six of Cups. It is so. Yeah, this is the Lord of Pleasure. Do you see me grimace? I actually kind of grimace when I talk about this because I might actually blush. This card has affected me in the Six of Cups forever. The Lord of Pleasure is the title that the Golden Dawn gave the Six of Cups. So when you look at the Six of Cups in the Rider-Waite system, the title for the card is the Lord of Pleasure. But because it has children looking in it, it has been adapted to this sense of pleasure of reminiscing and youthful childhood and things like that. This card goes in a completely different way. This is 3 different couples enjoying themselves as 3 different couples. See that? Okay. So that's for me, that means that the Six of Cups is pleasure in all its forms, without sense of kind of like moral stipulation and things like that. It's not just childhood pleasure. It's anything that you can derive that base pleasure from, and that's basic, it's the sun in Scorpio, it's enjoying yourself, so that's one thing about Thoth. Okay. This deck has a lot. So I don't recommend this for beginners, but it is literally a Thoth variant that can take you into the system a little bit deeper. One thing I would definitely recommend if you're going to get into this deck is to understand the decans energy. That is the 36 cards, the 2s through the 10s, that really shape the meanings of those cards, and there's astrological. And there's some information out there. I am currently reading, so I don't actually recommend books until I'm done, T. Susan Chang's The 36 Secrets, which is a book about the decans, which is good. But I'm just going to take a break and say all of T. Susan Chang's books are good. I got that together with this book, Tarot Correspondence. I think this is the first one. And what's great about this is not a book you're going to read. I thought it was going to be a book I was going to read. It's not. It's a book of charts and graphs and things like that. So I haven't really investigated this one because 36 Secrets is a little bit more about her life and about how she encountered the cards. So that's a little bit more narrative for me, which I like. And I've talked about how I'm reading the red book, and I can never remember the name, in Audible form, which is good. I'm going to have to get a print copy. This is going to happen. So, but this book does a good job, and all of her books do a good job of kind of comparing and contrasting the Thoth imagery and symbolism to the Rider-Waite-Smith. So you kind of have both. So I really recommend that. Another book that if you want to get into the Thoth system, you have to have is Understanding Aliester Crowley's Thoth Tarot by Lon Milo Duquette. I have read this book multiple times. It's good. It gets me where I need to go. It goes into so long about the back design of the Thoth Tarot, which is so full of symbolism that you can't even. I haven't even read the Book of Thoth by Aliester Crowley because it's dense and I can't get into it. But this book breaks it all down. There's also a couple other books I've used to get into it. So has been great, but I recommend this. And I would, like I said, like with get to know the Golden Dawn system. Read the Liber T or the book T, the source document for both of these tarots, and you can kind of see how it develops, and that's really good. Now, one deck I just kind of want to talk about, which I don't see anyone talk about anymore, is the Cosmic Tribe Tarot. I guarantee this is out of print, and this deck is so... It's not old. It's not. When did this come out? 1998. So it's not as old as I thought it was. But this is one of the very first decks that I heard about that really went on to bring diversity to the tarot. It is based on there is a lot of nudity in this deck, so I'm not going to show you all the cards. But, it has some of the name changes. Balance for adjustment at 8, which is good. You have art for 14. You have emergence for the Aeon, which is different. And then you have the universe, too. It also has the court card hierarchy is the same as the Thoth system. And it's got the titles on the cards as well. But this is one of the first decks that ever looked at gender fluidity and gender stereotypes and sexual orientation as a deal. And this was the first deck I ever knew of and that I ever bought that had multiple representations of the Lover's card for being a man-man, man-woman, woman-woman variant. So you could use however you wanted and use them all in. So that was good. So if you can find it, I say get it. But, it's fun, it's funky. But there's some nudity there. So content warning. So there, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. If you like this type of video where I go through my collection and kind of highlight what system they are part of and how they are illustrating that system, I would love to do more of these if you're interested. This was a lot of work, and this took a little bit more time than I thought it would. I thought it'd be, I'll just get on here and show, hey, I like this deck for this, I like this deck for this. But they all kind of have some different gives and takes. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you want to see more, like, subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye.